Hello everybody, welcome to Super's Corner, show about Hudson County Schools of Technology. We're with Frank Gargiulo, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Joseph Giammarella, our Principal, High Tech High School. I'm John Pluchino, your host, and this is our second show of the season. We're going to be talking about the Common Core standards that have been implemented this year and will be part of our system for the coming years. It basically, the mission statement I have here says that it provides a consistent, clear understanding of what students are expected to learn, so teachers and parents know what they need to do to help them. The standards are designed to be robust and relevant to the real world. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of this. I guess we do not have much choice at this point, and we have to implement them, but it's basically, I guess the premise behind it is to raise the standards of our students. So let's talk about it a little bit. These Common Core standards, do you believe they're going to make our students more college ready and more employable? Let's just start out with our discussion that way. Whoever wants to field that.
Well, I think, John, that learning is what's important.
Right.
Okay, that you become a lifelong learner. The government is trying to standardize what the country learns.
Right.
So you need to look at that in that context. When you really think of it, standards, that means they want everybody to learn the same thing. The standard is the same for everybody.
Right.
Well, we have 300 million people in the country. There's no two alike.
Right.
So that contradiction alone, I have a problem with. Are the standards worth doing? I would say probably yes. They give a clear picture of where we want to go with as a country and everything else. What I worry more about is we have a habit of introducing things in the education field, and then after we introduce and saying, if you don't do it, this happens to you.
Right.
I'll give you an example. Now, standards are listed the way they are listed.
Right.
There's first grade, there's kindergarten standards, first grade standards, second grade, and so forth. Every grade has their standards. So if you go to kindergarten, you're supposed to count 1 to 100, and you're supposed to be able to interject yourself into the mix where you can count numbers starting from 3 or 4, not 1, and move ahead. Those kinds of things. And there's a bunch of stuff that kindergarten kids have learned. Well, my sense is, knowing people in general, but kindergarten kids in general, they come into the class and some of them can't do that. Will not get that done because they can't do it.
Right.
They're not ready to do it.
Right.
And yet the standard says this is what you have to know. What do you do with that student who in the first grade can't count 1 to 100 or whatever it is that you're asking them to do? One superintendent told me that, well, you keep them during the summer. We tried that. We tried that stuff already. You know what I mean? That's the problem. It's not a continual process. It's not a continual thing. It's a continuation if you go grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Once you get behind, you're dead.
Yeah.
There's no way to because the consequence is the consequence. You know what I mean? So in New Jersey, we're trying to find trying to call what they have a growth model. Mm-hmm. But the problem is if the student's not ready, let's say, for third grade reading, and we know for a fact that you could be 2 or 3 years on each side of that and still be in a regular, normal pattern. Mm-hmm. But we are going to stigmatize kids again. We're back to the old thing. It's not that the standards are bad. The standards are good. I like that idea because they have raised the bar. Mm-hmm. They're saying this is what the 21st century requires. Mm-hmm. It's the consequence to it and how they're doing it that doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't standardize a kid or a person. There's no such thing as a third grade reader. Maybe at the third grade, the majority of the population reads like this.
You said there's like a 5-year gap either way, a 5-year range.
Yeah,
there's normal.
Yeah, there's almost. I mean, there's a huge side on both sides of that. So, third grade, a person in third grade could be reading at a first grade level or a fifth grade level and be pretty normal.
Pretty in the normal.
You know, there's no way to take care of that because we love to categorize and to put people first, second, third, fourth. We love that. We love that evaluation piece, the numbers piece that we're always counting. You know what I mean? And you're not ready in the third grade. What do you do with the kids? Nobody's telling me that. We've had that problem for a long time. Generally, we used to leave them back.
Or you put them in a slower reading group, or, you know, in first grade.
Yeah, but then you stigmatize them that way.
Stigmatize.
And once they get there, they never get out.
Right.
They stay that way. Just.
I must be self-fulfilling prophecy. I must be like that, so
Well,
that's who I am.
A kid in kindergarten that can't count 1 to 100 has to stay another year.
Right.
That's what basically the consequence is. Kind of. I use kindergarten, but maybe I should use an upper grade. But I mean, it's the same same mentality. It's
again, we're putting the students in pigeonholes.
Right.
This is where you belong. What I like about the standards, though, unfortunately,
I'm sorry.
unfortunately, the testing is a piece of it.
Right.
But the standards themselves go across the curriculum. So what's happening is you're getting writing across the curriculum. So each teacher, whether you're a math teacher, a science teacher, a social studies teacher, or an English teacher, have to address writing standards, have to address reading standards. So I think that's very important, again, to get the students career ready as well as college ready. The students don't work in a vacuum here, and they're certainly not going to work in a vacuum once they get out of school, whether it's high school or college. So I think the standards, if using the standards to address that in and of itself has to be helpful to the students. The problem I'm seeing now, whether you're talking about growth objectives or you're talking about the standards, the instructors are so concerned that they're hitting all those standards that, let's see, did I cover this today? No, I have to do it tomorrow, or I have to do it, make sure I do it today, because I don't have time to do it tomorrow. So basically what happens is they're locking themselves into a standardized curriculum, a standardized way of delivering the information.
You're kind of locked in, and there's the spontaneity,
The spontaneity, the creativity is gone.
Remember that I mean, the world requires lifelong learners. That's what the world is about. And to do that, people have to love learning. They have to leave us being interested in I mean, totally committed into learning more and more and more and more because they love it. And once you put them into categories, this is what you have to do at this grade, you kill that. You kill a lot of that. I mean, some of the kids that are naturally gifted, I mean, they fly, but there's a big part of the population that's not going to flourish with this. It's going to cause them a lot of heartache.
Okay, we're going to stop right here. We'll come back, see another video about our school. When we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit about the backlash that's happening out there on the Common Core standards. So stay tuned. We'll be back after this video. What will education look like in the future? How can today's schools prepare our youth, the nation's most important asset, for the skills and abilities necessary for the 21st century? The television show Super's Corner, produced by Hudson County Schools of Technology, presents this future with features on the cutting-edge technology programs integral to today's learning. Innovation, creativity, and vision are the ingredients needed for today's dynamic, ever-evolving educational environments. This will allow our youth to compete successfully in tomorrow's global economy. Let Super's Corner usher you into this new, exciting frontier of knowledge. Welcome back to Super's Corner, a show about Hudson County Schools of Technology with Frank Gargiulo, our Superintendent of Schools, and Dr. Joseph Giammarella, our Principal at High Tech High School. We've been talking about the Common Core standards, and they're going to be implemented this year. And what I've been reading is quite a backlash on this, not only from the teachers, but certain conservative groups, certain liberal groups. Somehow they found an issue that they're agreeing on. One of the problems, well, let me just say this, Canada, which has one of the highest rated school systems in the nation, in the world, has no national standards. They're just adopted locally. So the critics are saying on the liberal side, you're making the curriculum more rigorous, yet there's 50% dropout rates in some of these urban schools. So you're making it more rigorous, making it more challenging, and what are we going to have? A higher dropout rate? On the conservative end, they're saying that some of these standards have dumbed down what was already originally high, like say in states like Massachusetts and whatever. Are these criticisms justified? And I know on a teacher's perspective, it's a lot of extra bureaucratic work that we feel somehow really doesn't translate into learning as much as just writing these things out. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, if you're using a numbering system, which we use, I mean, in America, we quantify everything. If that's what you're doing, the system is bad.
Right.
Because what happens is, listen, we're trying to educate the whole population. When you use a numbering system, that means half the population is above average and half is below average. Mm-hmm. So generally speaking, eventually the tests that you use are aimed at the average. Because if they're not, you're going to have a lot of failures in your country.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a natural, to me it's so obvious, and I don't know why anybody else doesn't see it, but the fact of the matter is, so when you do that, when you're going to quantify stuff, the test is going to dumb down eventually.
Right.
It doesn't, because it doesn't allow for the people that can fly to fly and the people that are a little bit slower to work. It doesn't allow that. It criticizes the slow ones and slows down the fast ones. It's just the system, the way the system is. Mm-hmm. Whenever you put numbers to anything, that's what you cause.
Right.
If you got rid of the numbers and you individualize the program, because the standards themselves, I'm not opposed to them.
Right.
I'm just opposed to the fact that you have to learn this in the third grade, this in the fourth grade. That shouldn't be. It should be whatever rate you're at is where you're going.
I'm not quite sure this. Will people be withheld from graduation if they do not pass these standardized tests? Is that the way it's set up?
That's an interesting point, John, and nobody in the State Department has been able to tell me that yet. Mm-hmm. There's some talk about there's going to be 12 tests and you have to pass 7 or something like that, 7 or 12. New York City has, in high schools, has the regents.
Right.
And what they do is they give 2 diplomas. So if you don't pass those tests, you can get a state diploma. If you pass it, you get a regent's diploma. So they made 2 categories of kind of diplomas. New Jersey has always fought that. So I don't know what they're going to do, because if you're given a test and you're given a score, again, I'm going to tell you that it's going to be aimed at the average. If it's not, you're going to have a lot of people in the street, a lot of kids. You really are.
They gave these tests last year in New York City and Buffalo and Rochester, and they did poorly. I mean, they were down significantly in that. So, I guess we should expect the same in New Jersey. I mean, I don't know.
Generally, what's speaking, John, what usually happens, John, is that they start the testing process. Right now there's no consequence. There won't be another consequence for another 2 or 3 or 4 years before anything happens.
Right.
And of course they'll start the testing piece, they'll start testing it, they'll see where it falls.
Right.
Then those numbers I talked about, they'll set that number to say we want at least 70% of our kids graduating. They'll set the number there. Mm-hmm. It's a numbers game. Yeah. It's not an educational game. It's just to make whoever look good or look bad, like we're holding somebody accountable. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't create a love for learning. And what we haven't learned in the country yet is how do we individualize the learning for each and every kid, so that student we can take them as far as we can. I mean, at the end, they're done. Wherever they're at, that's where they go. And hopefully at the end of it, they love learning because they were never evaluated, but they were validated.
I want to thank everybody for being on the show today. Frank Gargiulo, our Superintendent of Schools, and Dr. Joseph Giammarella, the Principal of High Tech High School. I'm John Pluchino, your host. You've been watching Super's Corner. Thanks for watching. Thank you. And now a special presentation from Super's Corner.
Giants in the sky. When you're way up high, you look below at the world you left, and the things you know little more than a glance is enough to show you just how small you are. When you're way up high, you're all alone, you know, like none that you've ever known. The sky is flat and the earth is stone. You're free to do whatever pleases you, exploring things you've never dared because you don't care. Suddenly there's a big, tall, terrible giant at the door. A big, tall, terrible lady giant is sweeping the floor. But she gives you food and she gives you rest, and she draws you close to her giant breast. And you know things now that you never knew before. Not to the sky. Only just when you made a friend and all, you know she's big, but you don't feel small, so bigger than her comes along the hall to swallow you for lunch. And your heart is lead, you're like stone, and you're really scared to be all alone. And that you miss all the things you've known in the world you left, you own the fun is done. You steal what you can and run. You scramble down as you look below, and the world you left, and you the house and your mother at the door. The house and the world you never thought to explore. And you think of all of the things you've seen, and you wish that you clouds in the sky. There are big, terrible, awesome, scary, wonderful giants in the sky.
Did I abuse her or show her disdain? Why does she run from me? If I should lose her, how shall I regain the heart she has won from me? Agony beyond power of speech, when the one thing you want is the only thing out of your reach.
Wonders how she sits by the hour, containing her hand. Finally coming, frequently humming a light-hearted air. Oh, agony, far more painful than yours, when you know she would go with you, if there only were doors.
Agony, all the torture they teach. What's as intriguing
Or half so fatiguing
as what's out of reach? Am I not sensitive, clever, well-mannered, considerate, passionate, charming, as high as I'm handsome, and heir to a throne?
or everything maidens could wish for?
Then why no?
Do I know?
The girl must be mad.
You know nothing of madness till you're climbing her hair and you see her up there as you're nearing her, all the while hearing her.
Agony, misery, though it's different for each. Always 10 steps behind,
Always 10 feet tall.
and she's just out of reach.